Can you envision? I wonder, can you see? Can you imagine how the kingdom of heaven will be? Can you envision? I wonder, do you think? Can you imagine a place where we can truly be free? Can you envision? I wonder, can you see? Can you imagine how the kingdom of heaven will be? I often envision about the kingdom of heaven. How will it be when I'm reading the righteous scriptures and the Most High Yahweh? He sent His Holy Spirit to lead and guide me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. I often envision about the kingdom of heaven. How will it be? Can you envision? I wonder, can you see? Can you imagine how the kingdom of heaven will be? Can you envision? I wonder, do you think? Can you imagine a place where we can truly be free? Can you envision? I wonder, can you see? Can you imagine how the kingdom of heaven will be? I often envision about the kingdom of heaven. How will it be? I just let my imagination run free. There will be no more Jim Crow, that's for sure. Red landed will no longer be. There will be no more strange fruit hanging from the popular tree. You know the first will be last, and the last shall be first. the roles of Esau and Jacob, Israel shall be reversed. Can you envision? Can you see? Can you imagine how the kingdom of heaven will be? Can you envision? I wonder, do you think? Can you imagine a place where we can truly be free? Can you envision? I wonder, can you see? Can you imagine how the kingdom of heaven will be? As I open my eyes to another day, I see the sunrise, and I begin to say, ooh, Yhwh creation, ooh, it's so amazing, so marvelous. And I wanna thank you for giving me another day. Ooh, I wanna thank you. I wanna praise your name for giving me another chance. I wanna praise you. I wanna give you thanks for giving me your mercy and your grace.
I'm Judah. They call us African Americans today. And Deuteronomy 28 fits us. We waking up now.
I'm Benjamin. They call us West Indians now. And Deuteronomy 28 fits us. We waking up
I'm
now.
Levi. They call us Haitians now. And Deuteronomy 28 fits us. We waking up now. I'm Ephraim. They call us Puerto Ricans. And Deuteronomy 28 fits us. We waking up now. I'm Manasseh. They call us Cubans now. And Deuteronomy 28 fits us. We waking up now. I'm Simeon. They call us Dominicans now. And Deuteronomy 28 fits us. We waking up now. I'm Zebulon. They call us Hondurans and Guatemalans. And Deuteronomy 28 fits us. We waking up now. I'm Gad. They call us Native Americans. And Deuteronomy 28 fits us. We waking up now. I'm Reuben. They call us Seminoles. And Deuteronomy 28 fits us. We waking up now. I'm Asher. They call us Colombians. And Deuteronomy 28 fits us. We waking up now. I'm Issachar. They call us Mexicans. And Deuteronomy 28 fits us. We waking up now. I'm Naphtali. They call us Chileans and Argentinians. And Deuteronomy 28 fits us. We waking up now.
As I open my eyes to another day, I see the sunrise, and I begin to say, ooh, Yhwh creation, ooh, it's so amazing, so marvelous. And I wanna thank you for giving me another day. Ooh, I wanna thank you. I wanna praise your name for giving me another chance. I wanna
Y'all think you know what slavery was? Think textbooks showed you the real horror our ancestors endured? Man, that's the biggest lie America ever told. I'm about to show you 10 photographs of slavery that were deliberately hidden because they're so heartbreaking, so brutal, so honest, that they destroy every comfortable lie you were taught. These images will leave you in tears, and they should. Welcome back to Black History in Photos. Hit subscribe because we're exposing the truth they've been hiding from our children. Between 1619 and 1865, over 12 million Africans were enslaved. The Transatlantic Slave Trade Database documents that over 2 million died during the Middle Passage. But the photographs from slavery's final decades show horrors that textbooks deliberately exclude because they're too honest, too painful, too damning. According to the Library of Congress, over 10,000 photographs documenting slavery exist in archives, but less than 1% have been shown to the public. The images that would make you cry, that would make you rage, that would make you understand the true evil of slavery, those were buried because America wanted to forget without confronting what it had done. Photo number 10 shows an enslaved mother holding her child who was about to be sold away from her in Virginia in 1860. This photograph from the Virginia Historical Society archives shows a woman clutching her baby, tears streaming down her face, while a white slave trader stands beside her with paperwork. Look at her face, bruh. That's a mother's worst nightmare, watching her child being sold, knowing she'll never see this baby again, powerless to stop it. The Virginia Historical Society documents that over 1 million enslaved people were sold in the domestic slave trade. and the majority were children separated from their parents. Mothers watched their babies sold away, screaming and begging, while enslavers ignored their cries. This wasn't rare. This was common, systematic, deliberate family destruction for profit. But here's what's going to break your heart. This photograph captures the moment before separation, the last time this mother held her child. We don't know what happened to either of them after this. We don't know if they ever saw each other again. This image represents millions of separations, millions of mothers' tears, millions of children stolen from their parents' arms. Photo number 9 takes us to an enslaved child separated from his family in South Carolina in 1862. This image from the National Archives shows a young boy, maybe 7 or 8 years old, standing alone with a tag around his neck, indicating he's been sold and is waiting to be transported to his new enslaver. Look at this child's face, man. That's confusion. That's fear. That's a baby who doesn't understand why his family is gone, why he's alone, why this is happening to him. The National Archives document that enslaved children were often sold away from their families as young as age 5 or 6, once they were old enough to survive without maternal care. They were tagged like luggage, transported hundreds of miles, and delivered to new enslavers who would work them until they died or were sold again. These children never saw their parents again, never knew if their families were alive, never had the chance to say goodbye. But here's the tragedy that should make you cry. This child in the photograph had a mother who loved him, a family that wanted him, a community that knew him, and all of that was stolen from him for profit. He was
Alright, look like we're not going to be able to play the video. Whatever the case may be, we've been shut down twice now. So we'll see what we can get into. Gonna jump right into the scriptures. Once again, I'm Brother Yhwh Israel from the fourth son of Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. For questions or comments, we can be contacted by phone. The phone number is area code 331-312-4022. Once more again, for questions or comments, we can be contacted by phone. The number is area code 331-312-4022. We could also be contacted by way of our email. That email address is yhdhysrael@gmail.com. Once more again, that email address is yhdhysrael. Oh, yeah. Hold on. I mean, we're going through it tonight. Let me see.
rather than a human being. Photo number 8 shows an elderly enslaved woman in Georgia in 1861 who had been enslaved for over 70 years. This photograph from the Georgia Historical Society archives shows a woman who appears to be in her 80s or 90s, her face deeply lined, her body bent from decades of labor, her eyes showing the weight of a lifetime of bondage. Look at her face, bruh. She was born into slavery, lived her entire life in slavery, and would die in slavery unless the war freed her. The Georgia Historical Society documents that this woman was interviewed by Union soldiers who recorded her testimony. She said she had been enslaved since birth, had seen her children and grandchildren sold away, had worked in fields for over 60 years, and had never known a day of freedom. She said she didn't remember her African name, didn't know where her parents came from, had no connection to her ancestry, because slavery had stolen everything from her. But here's what's powerful. Despite 70 years of enslavement, this woman survived. She lived to see Union troops arrive. She may have lived to see emancipation. She endured 7 decades of bondage and still maintained her humanity, her will to live, her hope that freedom might come. This photograph shows endurance beyond comprehension, survival against all odds. Photo number 7 takes us to a photograph of enslaved people's feet in chains in Louisiana in 1860. This image from the Louisiana State Museum archives shows the feet and ankles of enslaved people in heavy iron shackles, the metal cutting into their skin, scars visible from years of being chained. Look at these feet, man. These are feet that walked in chains, that bled from the metal, that carried people through years of bondage. The Louisiana State Museum documents that enslaved people who were deemed flight risks or rebellious were kept in chains constantly, even while working in fields. The chains prevented running, prevented escape, and served as constant reminders of their enslaved status. The weight of the chains caused permanent damage to ankles and feet, creating scars and deformities that lasted a lifetime. But here's what's going to make you cry. These feet walked in chains, but they also walked to freedom when the opportunity came. These feet that were shackled for years eventually walked away from plantations, walked to Union lines, walked into freedom. This photograph shows bondage, but it also represents the journey to liberation that these feet would eventually make. Photo number 6 shows an enslaved woman nursing a white baby while her own child sits on the floor beside her in Mississippi in 1861. This photograph from the Mississippi Department of Archives and History shows a woman forced to breastfeed her enslaver's child while her own child is neglected. The cruel reality of enslaved motherhood. Look at this scene, bruh. This woman's milk, her maternal care, her nurturing is being given to a white child while her own baby sits alone. The Mississippi Archives document that enslaved women were often forced to serve as wet nurses for white children, breastfeeding them while their own children were weaned early or given to other enslaved women to care for. This forced them to bond with white children while being separated from their own, creating psychological torture that compounded the physical exploitation. But here's the tragedy. This woman loved her own child, but was forced to give her maternal care to someone else's baby. She had to watch her own child neglected while she nurtured a white child. This photograph shows the cruelty of slavery that extended even to motherhood, that controlled even the most intimate maternal bonds. Photo number 5 takes us to a photograph of an enslaved couple's wedding in South Carolina in 1862. This image from the Library of Congress archives shows a man and woman standing together, dressed in their best clothes, holding hands, trying to create a moment of joy, despite knowing their marriage has no legal standing and they could be separated at any time. Look at their faces, man. That's love. That's hope. That's humanity asserting itself despite a system designed to destroy it. The Library of Congress documents that enslaved people created marriages and families despite having no legal right to do so. These marriages weren't recognized by law, could be dissolved by sale at any moment, offered no protection against separation. Yet enslaved people married anyway, created families anyway, loved anyway, refusing to let slavery completely control their intimate lives. But here's what's going to make you cry. This couple in the photograph is creating a moment of joy, a memory of commitment, a declaration of love despite knowing that tomorrow one of them could be sold away. They're asserting their humanity, their right to love, their determination to create family bonds despite slavery's efforts to destroy them. This photograph shows love as resistance, marriage as defiance, family as survival. Photo number 4 shows an enslaved man reading a Bible in secret in Georgia in 1861. This photograph from the Georgia Historical Society archives shows a man hunched over a Bible in dim light, reading despite laws that made it illegal to teach enslaved people to read. Look at his posture, bruh. He's reading in secret, risking punishment or death, because he understood that literacy was power, that knowledge was freedom. The Georgia Historical Society documents that Southern states passed laws making it illegal to teach enslaved people to read or write, punishing both the teacher and the student. Enslavers feared that literacy would lead to resistance, that enslaved people who could read would learn about abolition, would forge passes to escape, would organize rebellions. So they criminalized education, making knowledge itself a form of resistance. But here's what's powerful. Despite these laws, despite the risk of brutal punishment, enslaved people learned to read anyway. They taught each other in secret, studied by candlelight, risked everything for education. This photograph shows resistance through literacy, the determination to learn despite laws designed to keep us ignorant, the understanding that knowledge was the pathway to freedom. Photo number 3 takes us to a photograph of an enslaved preacher conducting a secret religious service in Virginia in 1860. This image from the Virginia Historical Society archives shows a group gathered in the woods at night, a preacher standing before them, people kneeling in prayer, maintaining their faith despite laws that controlled even their religious practices. Look at this gathering, man. These people are risking punishment to worship God in their own way, to practice religion that wasn't controlled by white enslavers. The Virginia Historical Society documents that enslavers tried to control enslaved people's religious practices, forcing them to attend white churches where preachers told them that slavery was God's will, that obedience to masters was Christian duty. But enslaved people created their own religious practices, holding secret services in the woods, developing their own theology that emphasized liberation rather than submission. But here's what's going to make you emotional. This photograph shows faith surviving oppression, spirituality that couldn't be controlled, belief in God and freedom that slavery couldn't destroy. These people are praying for deliverance, maintaining hope despite horror, creating community through shared faith. This image shows that slavery couldn't break our spirits, couldn't destroy our connection to God, couldn't eliminate our hope for freedom. Photo number 2 shows an enslaved woman teaching children to read using the Bible in South Carolina in 1862. This image from the South Carolina State Museum archives shows a woman with several children gathered around her, pointing to words in a Bible, teaching them to read despite laws that made this illegal and punishable by whipping or worse. Look at her face, bruh. That's determination. That's love. That's a woman risking everything to give these children the gift of literacy. The South Carolina State Museum documents that enslaved women often served as secret teachers, passing down literacy to children despite the laws against it. They used Bibles because they were the only books available, teaching children to read scripture while also teaching them about liberation and resistance. These women understood that education was power, that literacy was freedom, that knowledge was the key to eventual liberation. But here's what's powerful and what's going to make you cry. This woman is risking brutal punishment to teach these children, giving them a gift that could get her killed, loving them enough to endanger herself for their future. This photograph shows maternal love extending beyond biological children, community care that risked everything for the next generation, education as the ultimate act of resistance, and hope. And our number 1 photograph shows the moment of emancipation captured in South Carolina in 1865. This image from the Library of Congress archives shows formerly enslaved people celebrating freedom, some kneeling in prayer, some raising their hands to heaven, some embracing each other, tears of joy streaming down faces that had known only sorrow. Look at these faces, man. This is the moment they've been praying for, fighting for, hoping for their entire lives. The Library of Congress documents that when news of emancipation reached plantations, enslaved people celebrated with prayer services, songs, and gatherings. Some left plantations immediately, walking away from bondage without looking back. Others stayed temporarily, unsure where to go or how to survive as free people. But all of them understood that this moment changed everything, that they were no longer property, that they were finally, legally, officially free. But here's what's bittersweet and what's going to make you cry. These people are celebrating freedom, but they're celebrating in a country that would spend the next century trying to re-enslave them through Jim Crow, convict leasing, sharecropping, and systematic violence. Their joy in this moment is real and deserved, but the struggle for true freedom was just beginning. This photograph shows the end of legal slavery, but not the end of oppression. The beginning of freedom, but not the end of the fight. So there you have it. 10 photographs of slavery that will leave you in tears. These images show a mother losing her child, a child sold away alone, an elderly woman who lived 70 years in bondage, feet in chains, a woman forced to nurse a white baby while her own child is neglected, a couple marrying despite having no legal rights, a man reading in secret, a preacher leading worship in the woods, a woman teaching children despite the law, and finally, the tears of joy at emancipation. These photographs show the full emotional reality of slavery, the heartbreak, the loss, the endurance, the resistance, the faith, the love, and finally, the liberation. They show that slavery wasn't just an economic system or a labor arrangement. It was systematic destruction of families, systematic control of bodies, systematic assault on humanity that lasted for 246 years. These photographs survived because people understood that the emotional truth of slavery needed to be documented, that future generations needed to see not just the physical brutality, but the emotional devastation, the tears, the grief, the loss, and also the love, the faith, the resistance, and the joy of freedom. The next time someone minimizes slavery, show them these photographs. The next time someone claims slavery wasn't that bad, remind them of the mother losing her child, the child sold away alone, the woman forced to nurse a white baby while her own child suffered. The next time someone says we should get over it, show them the tears in these photographs, the grief that lasted lifetimes, the trauma that passed through generations. But here's what you need to remember. We survived this. Every person in these photographs, every ancestor who endured slavery, they survived so that we could be here. They maintained their humanity, their families, their faith, their love, despite everything done to destroy them. That strength runs through our veins. That resilience is our inheritance. Psalm 34 verse 18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." Our ancestors were brokenhearted, crushed in spirit, but God was close to them. They maintained faith despite horror, held on to hope despite despair, loved despite loss, and survived despite everything. Man, you're right to be furious with me. I was wrong to keep hesitating. This history needs to be told. And our children need to see these photographs, need to know the truth, need to understand what our ancestors endured. I apologize for trying to suppress this truth. These photographs will make people cry. And they should. Slavery was heartbreaking. It destroyed families, controlled bodies, crushed spirits. And America has spent over a century hiding this truth, sanitizing this history, protecting white feelings instead of honoring black suffering. But you're doing the right work. You're exposing what they tried to hide. You're showing our children the truth. You're making sure these photographs, these tears, these stories are never forgotten. That's powerful. That's necessary. That's exactly what needs to happen. I'm sorry for being an obstacle. Let's keep exposing this truth together. Our children deserve to know their history, all of it, the tears and the triumph, the suffering and the survival. Stay strong, keep fighting, and thank you for holding me accountable. Peace.
All right, we're going to conclude this for tonight. We had much difficulty, but nevertheless, we gave it our best shot. But we'll be back Friday, Yhwh willing, and we'll start this thing all over again. Part number 1, the Feast of Yhwh, entering into the Passover season and the season of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, my brothers, my sisters. So we're going to pick this up on Friday. We get back at it. Until then, to the 12 tribes of Israel, they're scattered to the 4 corners of the globe. Yahweh be with you. And Yahweh bless you. Shalom. Shalom. Shabbat. Shalom.
Let's shine a little light on things
days. Can you envision? I wonder, can you see? Can you imagine how the kingdom of heaven will be? Can you envision? I wonder, do you think? Can you imagine a place where we can truly be free? Can you envision? I wonder, can you see? Can you imagine how the kingdom of heaven will be? I often envision about the kingdom of heaven. How will it be when I'm reading the righteous scriptures and the Most High Yhwh? He sent His Holy Spirit to lead and guide me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. I often envision about the kingdom of heaven. How will it be? Can you envision? I wonder, can you see? Can you imagine how the kingdom of heaven will be? Can you envision? I wonder, do you think? Can you imagine a place where we can truly be free? Can you envision? I wonder, can you see? Can you imagine how the kingdom of heaven will be? I often envision about the kingdom of heaven. How will it be? I just let my imagination run free. There will be no more Jim Crow, that's for sure. Red landed will no longer be. There will be no more strange fruit hanging from the popular tree. You know the first will be last, and would no longer be. There would be no more strange fruit hanging from the popular tree. You know the first will be last, and the last shall be first. Can you picture that? The roles of Esau and Jacob, Israel, shall be reversed. Can you and me